Hi everyone, welcome to another battle report. This is a 2,500 point match of Warhammer Fantasy between my Empire army and Mike's Ogre Kingdoms. We rolled up meeting engagement and we divided the table like so with the tape measure, and then we deployed with me winning the roll off and deploying my army first. And that's Mike waving because he's excited to play Warhammer. Here's a picture of my list. If you want to review it, now's a good time to pause. It's very similar to my usual list, except I dropped some magic items down in quality. Um, Added the Pegasus Captain. I'm using Once Bitten's build because I'm curious about the Shrieking Blade. Usually I run it with the Sword of Might, but I figured I'd give it a shot. Other changes, up to 4 from 3 demigryphs. And those two, the archers are actually split up as 2 units of skirmishing archers on the swordsman. So here's my deployment. You can see that I'm missing some stuff. It's because in meeting engagement you roll per model or for characters and per unit to see if they go into reserves if you roll a 1. So the steam tank, the peg captain, the demigryph, swordsman, hurt cannon, and the pistoliers all made it onto the table. But the great swords, the BSB, the general, the warrior priest in the knight unit, and both units of skirmishing archers were held in reserves. I rolled like I rolled like 4 or 5 ones consecutively. I actually started switching dice in the middle of it because I was starting to feel a little weirded out by it. My level 4 in the swordsman block has Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, the Enfeebling Foe, Pit of Shades, and Occam's Mindrazor. Here's a shot of Mike's army. This is, I think, this is his man-eaters list. Mike has 6 man-eaters that are done up in the remnants of his old Lizardman army. So they're like Lustrian man-eaters. And now he has a scrap launcher, which is really, I mean, especially compared to the Iron Blaster, is a comically less effective choice. But the scrap launcher, he's using a Stegodon converted to carry the other half of the Iron Blaster kit, so it's really a 2-for-1 for him with that Iron Blaster kit. So it looks great. It's not as competitive, but he really wanted to try out the Man-Eaters. For this game, they are using the special rules Scout and Stubborn. Sorry for the blurry photo. This is Mike's deployment. He has the saber tusks basically spread out. One of them is in the far right corner, the upper right corner of the board behind that forest. Pardon me. His unit of Iron Guts and his Iron Blaster and the Mournfang all deployed like so in a rough battle line. Held in reserves because he rolled 1s. He's got the unit of Bulls. That space in the middle is where the Firebelly will live, when he manages to join the unit. And then the aforementioned converted Scrap Launcher. Mike has Bone Crusher, the Maw, Troll Guts, and Toothcracker on his Slaughtermaster. And he has Fireball and Fulminating Flame Cage on his level 2 Firebelly. That's a Vanguard move. The Pistoliers move up in the middle of the table there. And beginning of turn 1 Empire, I'm declare a charge with the Peg Captain on one of the Saber Tusks. Mike just holds because if he flees, he's off the board anyway. So it's like, okay, maybe something crazy will happen. Steam Tank trundles up a pretty beastly 11 inches towards Mike's battle line, leaving 1 steam point in reserve to fire a cannon at the Iron Blaster. Here you can see something. It wasn't really. It didn't happen until after we had finished deployment. Mike dropped the scouting man-eaters directly behind my swordsman. So they have to be 12 inches away. I then march 8 inches up, so now we are about 20 inches away from the man-eaters on the back end of that unit. The demigryphs also march up away. I don't want to give him a rear charge on demigryphs, even though the demigryphs probably handle themselves. I just don't really want to risk that. The Hurricanum also moves away. I was talking to Mike about this because it's like, I think they have to go on a flank. I don't think they can go like directly behind a unit because then the unit can just walk away from them, and it'll take the man-eaters a couple turns to get back into it. Another option that we were talking about this morning was that he puts them down to the left of the Pistoliers, where the greatswords have walked onto the board up in the top of the picture. But so this is where they went, and I'm like really not interested in dealing with man-eaters in the rear of my swordsman, so we just walk away from them. So here's the rest of my battle line. Everything else comes in from reserves, so the greatswords just kind of walk up a few inches, and I think they walk up and wheel like 1 inch. The skirmishing archers and the knights all come on like so. The pistoliers sweep around to the other side of the Mournfang to try to shoot the Saber-Tusk. And I attempted to cast Melkoth's, reducing the movement of the Man-Eaters, but Mike's dispelled it, so I settled for Enfeebling Foe, reducing the Man-Eaters' strength by 2. In close combat, the Peg Captain dispatches the Saber-Tusk. And here's the board going into the beginning of Ogre's turn 1. The Pistoliers failed to even hit or wound the Saber-Tusk, by the way. Mike advances. He brings his Bulls and his Scrap Launcher on from reserves. The Firebelly leaves the Iron Gut unit and joins the Bull unit. The Mournfang kind of advance a little bit, and the Saber-Tusk moves directly in front of the... not directly in front, but to the front, to the right of the Inner Circle Knights, so that if I charge the Saber-Tusk with the Knights to clear it out, I'll end up pushing my guys either into the center or turning their flank to the Mournfang. So otherwise, yeah. Here you can see the Man-Eaters kind of closing in on my battle line, because they are still movement 6. Ogres are pretty speedy. And you can see the perspective from Mike's side of the table. Magic, I believe, is relatively inconsequential. In the shooting phase, Mike fires the Scrap Launcher, gets the Groink malfunction. I took a picture of it because there was no way I was going to remember it. Basically, for the rest of the game now, the Scrap Launcher has random movement. And we were a little curious about this. Our interpretation is that Mike's going to randomly move it 2d6 in a random direction. However, since it's still a stone thrower, when it's time to shoot, it'll get a free pivot in the shooting phase to face towards its target. Because it says it just functions like a stone thrower. He fires a cannonball from the Iron Blaster. It hits the steam tank, does 4 wounds. Quick note, I did hit his Iron Blaster with the steam tank's cannon. However, I failed to wound. So that's why the Iron Blaster hasn't taken any wounds yet. So here's the board going into the top of turn 2, Empire turn 2. The I think he either rolled low for Magic or nothing really happened because he didn't dispel Enfeebling Foe, and I don't see him having gotten anything else off. I declare a charge with the Greatswords on the Saber-Tusk. This Mike wasn't really happy about, so he just fled with the Saber-Tusk, and the Greatswords failed their charge. So here's my battle line after everybody else has moved. The Pistoliers kind of close in on the Saber-Tusk to kill it, hopefully provoke a panic check in the Mournfang. If Mike charges the Pistoliers with the Mournfang, then they'll bop out the other side of the Inner Circle Knights and they'll probably get away. And then they're right in the leadership bubble, so they'll probably rally. The Steam Tank generated 4 steam points without incident. It was too long a charge to get the Peg Captain into the Iron Blaster, so he's just hanging out right in its flank. And then the Demigryphs swift reformed, passed their leadership check, and then moved a few inches to keep the Mournfang going into only the Demigryphs, not Mournfang, pardon me, the Man-Eaters from going into anything but the Demigryphs. I'm pretty happy with Demigryphs and Man-Eaters as a matchup, and I just don't want them like charging into the Hurricane or getting into trouble back there, basically. Yeah, here's just a shot to show the Pistoliers cornering that fleeing Saber-Tusk. And Steam Tank generated 4 steam points, used 3 of them on movement, and I got triple Snake Eyes, so I went 3 inches. So I'm going to have to eat another cannonball before I'm even getting into the potential of maybe charging a unit with this. However, I do have a point left to fire a cannon at the Iron Blaster. In the shooting phase, I guess Magic really wasn't a big deal, I'm guessing. Anyway, in the shooting phase, the Pistoliers dispatch the Saber-Tusk. This causes the Mournfang to panic. They failed their Leadership 7 roll. They're out of range of the General and the BSB. They flee. The only comment on terrain, everything is mundane terrain, but for the 2 hills, both hills on this table have like one side that's very sheer or rocky. We decided that those 2 sides would be impassable terrain. So the Mournfang take 2 dangerous terrain checks here, but pass both of them, and now they're fleeing. I fire a cannon from the Steam Tank. It hits the Iron Blaster and does 2 wounds. And here's the board at the end of Empire turn 2. I think what I tried to do with this is I put Melkoths on the Iron Guts unit, reducing their initiative by 2, and then I tried to cast Pit of Shades, but Mike dispelled it or dispel scrolled it, or in some way stopped Pit of Shades from going onto the Iron Blasters. So this is going into Ogre's turn 2. Mike declares a charge with the Man-Eaters on the Demigryphs, and he also throws the Sabertusk into the rear. Now, the Sabertusk had taken 1 wound from, I think, the Skirmishing Archer fire, but now it's like I gotta allocate attacks. I gotta take attacks away from the Man-Eaters, who are ridiculous in close combat, and I have to put, like, either a Knight or a Demigryph's worth of attacks to clear out this thing, or I'm giving up, like, 2 extra combat res in this fight, so that's kind of annoying. In the rest of Mike's movement and stuff, the Bulls and the Iron Guts try to bring it into a coherent battle line, and the Mournfang rally. Here's just a really cool shot of Mike's converted Man-Eaters. I mean, he's got so many bits to work with. Like for example, that one Man-Eater with the crossbow has the bolt thrower attachment from the Stegodon kit. He's got like a horn and a tail, because ogres love to carry around the meat that they like to eat. I just thought it was a cool picture, so I included it. Sorry about this one. The sun kind of glossed out the spell card, but he casts Fulminating Flame Cage on my Pegasus captain, just because, for lack of something better to do with the Fire Belly, and causes like 3 or 4 hits on him, and the captain makes all of his armor saves. However, he miscasts. He only cast on like 2 or 3 dice, but he miscasts on the Fire Belly. He gets a 3. The Fire Belly does not get sucked into the warp, but the Strength 10 large template kills 2 ogres outright and puts a wound onto the Fire Belly. So that was kind of a pricey miscast. However, he didn't lose him, I guess, so there's that. The Iron Blaster shoots a cannon into the Steam Tank, does another 3 wounds, so now we have 7 wounds total on the Steam Tank, making it like really unreliable at this point. And unfortunately, the Scrap Launcher misfires again, and this time rolls a result where it's just destroyed. So, Scrap Launcher already not being great. In close combat here, just a commentary on the way Mike has equipped the Man-Eaters. The front rank of Man-Eaters has 2 hand weapons. That's 15 attacks from 3 models, 15 Strength 5, Weapon Skill 4 attacks. In the back of the unit, he has, I think, just some filler models. One of them has a great weapon. It's very expensive to equip Man-Eaters, so now, like, I think the whole back rank should be great weapons, but they're very, very pricey. But so it's yeah, it's 15 Strength 5 attacks from the guys in the front, and then it's a handful of Strength 5 attacks and 3 Strength 7 attacks from the great weapon in the back. So, like, Man-Eaters are ridiculous. He kills 1 Demigryph. The Demigryph killed 2 Man-Eaters and put a wound on another one, and the Inner Circle Knight attacks that I allocate onto the cat kill the cat. So, I actually think I'm winning this combat. I think it's like 7-3. He has a charge and a standard, so it's actually like 7-5. He loses combat by 2. He's stubborn, and the Man-Eaters hold. So here's the board going into Empire turn 3. The Pegasus captain declares a charge on the Iron Blaster, and he scoots in right against the edge there. The Pistoliers take advantage of the fact that the Mournfang can't move through that pillar. They're going to have to walk around it. So he can't charge the Pistoliers with the Mournfang right now because they'll fail it. So they just kind of sock it in there to harass the Bulls. Once again, I cast Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma on the Iron Guts unit, reducing their initiative. And then I attempt to cast Pit of Shades into the unit, and it is unsuccessful. I enfeebling foe the Man-Eaters because, holy crap, that is so many Strength 5 attacks, and reduce their strength by 3, so now they're only Strength 2. That's, okay, that's kind of good night, sweet prince. In close combat, shooting, I believe, is relatively ineffective. I put like 1 wound on the Bulls, and the Steam Tank misfires and can't do anything this turn. I have a charge, I have a flank, I cause no wounds. The Iron Blaster, with only the Bull and the Noblar assistant attacks, cause no wounds to me. Mike's testing at like leadership 7. He fails the first check but passes the second check, and then passes his check to combat reform. So, okay, I mean, it was kind of a risky thing, but it keeps the Iron Blaster from shooting me for a turn, so I guess that's something. But no, the Pegasus Captain does not pay off. In close combat over here, the Demigryphs just butchered the Mournfang. The Mournfang calls like Mournfang, pardon me. But they butcher the Man-Eaters. The Man-Eaters are strength 2, like I said, so it's just, you know, we break them, run them down, and the Demigryphs roll like an 11 for their pursuit roll, so they're way off in Never Never Land now. And there we go. Here's my battle line, and here's a shot of the board going into Ogres. The Scrap Launcher destroys the Pegasus Captain in close combat, breaks him, he runs off the board. The Iron Guts and the Bulls shift to the center of the board there to get a battle line that allows the Mournfang to kind of come out from behind the impassable terrain. And this is a shot of his battle line at the end of Ogre's turn going into Empire turn. This was just one of those turns where really Mike wasn't able to make a lot happen. He tried to cast the Maw into one of my units, and I think I Dispel Scrolled it. And other than that, you know, we're far enough away that if he moves his guys really aggressively to the center, he's going to get like combo charged by my entire army. And with the Mournfang stuck behind that block of impassable terrain, it was really worthwhile to just take the time to get them out of there. Going into Empire turn, I think this is turn 4. Steam Tank, basically from once it was taken to 7 wounds by the second Iron Blaster shot, the Steam Tank then misfired every single turn and got a result where it either lost its steam points or couldn't use them on something that I wanted to use it on. So this is just like a commentary. I probably won't mention it much for the rest of the game, but yeah, the Steam Tank misfires and loses all its steam points. My army, at this point, I've got a big point advantage on Mike right now, so I'm feeling like let's just close the deal. So I advance my battle line through the center of the board like so. The Demigryphs swift reform and try to catch up. Pistoliers just wedge themselves right in there with the Mournfang. In the magic phase, I use the Storm of Shemtek ability from the Celestial Hurricanum. I roll up the Meteor Strike, which is like strength 8. D6 wounds or whatever under the central hole. I cast it on Mike's BSB. It doesn't scatter. The BSB makes his lookouts there, and some poor ogre catches a meteor right in his skull and dies. And then it causes a handful of wounds to the rest of the unit. I attempt to cast Spit of Shades, and once again it's dispelled. So here's the board going into Ogre's turn. I want to say this is turn 4. Mike declares a charge from the Mournfang on the Pistoliers. I opt to stand and shoot. The Mournfang had taken some wounds from something. I can't remember what. They had 2 wounds. Oh, maybe it was the dangerous checks? I don't remember. But anyway, one of the Mournfangs had been previously wounded, and the Pistolier shots actually caused enough to kill one Mournfang on the charge, which was crazy. They passed their panic check, though. They're okay. And then Mike declares 2 charges from the Bulls and the Iron Guts, both on the Greatswords. He needs a 8 for the Iron Guts, and he needs a 9 for the Bulls. The Bulls make it in, the Iron Guts do not. So they have a failed charge, they only go 2 inches, and he rolls like exactly a 9 for the Bulls, so the Bulls do not get their Ogre charge ability. The Mournfang then are able to successfully charge the Pistoliers. The reason why they're not maximized is because I believe he resolved that charge first when the when the Bulls were like all up in there and he couldn't get more guys in. In the magic phase, Mike casts Troll Guts. He gets it off with Irresistible Force on the 12-inch bubble version. So both the Mournfang and the Bulls have a 4-up regen, and the Irresistible Force result, the miscast, is like an 8, so it's just a few. He loses the rest of his power dice, and I think somebody the Firebelly and the Slaughtermaster take a Strength 6 hit, and it like fails to wound both of them because they're Toughness 4, Toughness 5. It just rolls a 1. The Mournfang plow right over the Pistoliers and end up back behind the Bull unit. The Bulls come in like a freight train. This was, I mean, like, I'm used to the Bulls really not being that big a deal. I think of them as the weaker of the 2 choices. But no, the Bulls come in really heavy. The Firebelly makes way, and Yeah, I mean, he kills 10 great swords on the charge. He's got a 4-up regen. He basically loses like 2 bowls, I think, to attacks back. He's got a charge and a standard. He actually wins combat here. I'm testing on leadership 9, 3d6, take the 2 lowest with a reroll, so I hold. Yeah, I have the Mornfang right in the flank of the Inner Circle Knights, so I'm feeling pretty confident about how this is going to wrap up, though. I declare a charge with the Inner Circle Knights and the Mornfang. The Mornfang elect to flee. They'll be right behind the General and the BSB for rallying, so it's... I feel like this was a good choice, because if he lets the Inner Circle Knights hit them on the flank like that, that's almost guaranteed to break and possibly run down that unit. So I then take a leadership test and redirect the Inner Circle Knights into the flank of the Bulls unit. The steam tank again misfires and does nothing, loses all its steam points. Yeah, the demigryphs scoot up. They're kind of between a rock and a hard place. I don't even know if they can fit through the gap of that impassable terrain in the steam tank. I don't even know. And there's no reason for me to really bring the swordsman any closer to the Iron Guts, because the Iron Guts will beat the crap out of them. And I still want to cast Pit of Shades, so I hang out at about, like, I want to say like 19 inches away from the Iron Gut unit. Yeah, here's a shot to show how delicious that steam tank charge would have been if it hadn't misfired. I cast Pit of Shades. I don't think it goes off your resist point. I think I just roll like a really high number. However, it scatters. I had placed it on the BSB's head, who was the banner in the second rank. I placed it right on his head, it then scattered, and it ended up stopping about where I put that little explosion graphic. He makes his lookout, sir, on the Slaughtermaster and loses, I think, two Iron Guts to Pit of Shades. The resulting close combat sees the greatswords take a few more casualties. That 3 is to show that I managed to get off Soulfire on the Warrior Priest, so they had flaming attacks, which really helped given that they had the 4-up Troll Guts regen. And then between the Inner Circle Knights and the greatswords, we break the Bulls unit and run them down. The Knights, of course, get like an 11 for their pursuit roll, so they're way out behind the Iron Guts and are not going to be able to help with the Iron Guts anytime soon, because this is going to be, I think, turn 5, this is. And then the greatswords only roll like a 2, so they're kind of just hanging out right in front of the Iron Guts. So here's the board going into Ogres. This is either, I think this is either turn 4 or turn 5. The Iron Guts declare a charge on the greatswords and make it in with an Ogre charge, so they're going to be doing D3 impact hits each. You have the front rank is 3 Iron Guts and the Slaughtermaster, and then they have +1 strength from having a complete rank of Iron Guts behind them, so that's like 4 D3 strength 5 impact hits. The Mornfang, however, fail to rally at leadership 8 and run off the board. So that kind of sucks, because they're not cheap. In the Magic phase, Mike gets off Toothcracker and Troll Guts. So the Iron Guts are Toughness 5 with a 4-up regen. The Iron Blaster attempts to shoot the steam tank to finish it off. Misfires, gets the result where it spins around and and stops. It can still shoot next turn. This is just like you don't get to shoot, and the Mornfang and the Iron Blaster gets spun around in a weird direction. So this is after combat. As you can see, the greatswords are greatly diminished. Now, greatswords versus Iron Guts is a bit of a suicide pact because everybody swings simultaneously. But I have flaming attacks. Any wounds I get through in the first round just count because he only has heavy armor, and the regen is negated by the flaming attacks. But yeah, no, Iron Guts are just brutal. Going into Empire turn, I think this is turn 5 or turn 6 now. This is probably turn 5. The Inner Circle Knights declare a charge on the Iron Blaster. The Swordsmen declare a charge on the flank of the Iron Guts. In Magic, I get off the 5-up ward save and rerolling failed rolls to wound on the Greatswords. In close combat, the Inner Circle Knights pop the Iron Guts. This had to have been turn 6. Yeah, this is turn 6. I'm sorry. Yeah, they just pop the Iron Blaster and destroy it. And this is the board going into Ogre's turn 6. The greatswords are diminished, but not as severely as they were that first round. The swordsmen push in, and we kill off the Iron Gut unit. All that's left is the buddy cop team of the Slaughtermaster and the BSB. The Slaughtermaster is tooled up to be basically unkillable. He's got the Fencer's Blades and the Glittering Scale, so he's like really hard to hit. He's got a ton of wounds. Every time he casts a spell, he regains a wound pretty much. However, the BSB is meant to just hang out in the second rank. It's a great weapon. So we just stopped the game here because it's almost certain that the BSB will die by the end of the game, and then it'll be the Slaughtermaster left because he's stubborn with the Crown of Command and almost impossible to kill. So yeah, Victory Empire. Mike really did take a softer, fluffier list with the inclusion of the Scrap Launcher and the Man-Eaters. I don't think that the Man-Eaters are a complete like a complete no-go or a dead issue just from the start. I think that they he probably could have deployed them a little better using Scout. However, the Scrap Launcher is just... It's a wonderful conversion. I like it a lot. It's just such a terrible choice compared to the Iron Blaster. I mean, Mike's one Iron Blaster is basically able to neuter my Steam Tank this game. If he had two of them, it'd have been even more, Oh well. Good game. It was great to play Mike again. I don't think we'll be seeing the Lustrian contingent of his ogres anytime soon. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'd love to respond to them. Thank you very much. Have a good one.